or probably you meet them after 6 o'clock and you get into certain discussions. So I think that networking sometimes becomes a challenge for which still men have certain roles still cut out for them, where those kind of things they will still opt, and you will rather like to give it to them on those few little aspects.
Can I just give you a flip side for the men, in the sense that we're an organically sort of grown company. So we started with one Kangaroo Kids school, and we sort of grew it, and then we grew into the high school space as well, and then we developed the curriculum team. And it being teaching related, all I had was surrounded by were women. And women tend to be very, very feeling oriented and relationship oriented, but that they're not as focused on the task. So I've actually now brought in more and more men in management positions to sort of balance the feeling and the task, because they both have to be balanced hand in hand. So,
Radhika, want to make a point?
No, I think there are 2 points. I think, the second point you made is one that I, as a professional, have struggled with a lot, which is the networking, and I'm trying to get better about it. I spent 4 years at a fund, as I mentioned, where I was 1 out of 120 women, and while everything was very nice in the workplace, a lot of the discussions when you talk about promotion, a lot of things happened after work. There are a lot of typically very guy activities. You go out and you grab drinks, you make guy jokes, whatever it is. And there, no matter how nice everyone's intentions are, you tend to feel held back. That's true even in the financial services industry here. A lot of our networking in the wealth and investment business, happens over dinner, happens over drinks. And that's one area where, I've had to push myself a lot to open up and say, listen, there is conversation I can make outside of the office. There are interactions I can have. I will not feel uncomfortable about this. That, I think, has been one of the biggest challenges, both working and in running my own thing.
Okay, so that's one of the challenges, but the big challenge right now is the changing environment in terms of the slowdown, the competitiveness that we are looking at, and that, of course, is also impacting the strategy making in a lot of companies. How do you believe women can actually take that opportunity and make it something that's positive for them, and turn it around in terms of getting into leadership roles? Do you believe that is an emerging trend that we are looking at, considering that they're looking at gender diversity in these difficult times, where women could probably have more solutions?
So I'm not very fond of labeling and saying women can do better at slowdowns, and I don't think that's a fair statement to make. The fact is that yes, we've already seen practically 2 slowdowns in the last 5 years, and we'll see a lot more crises and a lot more different types of problems. And I go back to my original point that every time the challenge is different, every time the problem is a new one, and we don't have a trend that we can use to help and support us. In that case, the only thing that will work is varied kind of thinking to come up with innovative solutions. And I think innovation is a hallmark of a diverse team. The more diverse your team, the more innovative solutions you will get. So yes, certainly any kind of diversity will only help as we face more and more newer challenges of managing the economy.
All right, but going forward in terms of, companies coming into emerging markets, global MNCs coming into emerging markets, there are a lot of articles saying that a success mantra for them would be to employ more women, simply because it makes a business case, because we're brought up in a background where things don't really tend to work out most of the time, and we do have a solution to every problem. Coming back to that point.
So, so there is a theory, and possibly I would get lynched for it, since there are mostly women here. The fact is that women are the second income earners in a family, right? And therefore, when there is a slowdown and when there is, let us say, salary cuts, etc., women are more able to handle it. Or let's say a double income family is more able to handle a salary cut versus a male is not able to, because many cases he's the single earning member. So from a very factual point of view, yes, having women in an organization who are part of the double income family always helps in, from a business perspective in slowdowns. It is a fact, and whether they are able to better deal with recessions or emerging markets, and I think I've seen enough number of men who are able to deal with it as well.
I'd like to add to that. I actually don't think it's a women thing or a men thing
Absolutely,
at all.
absolutely.
It's really, it's about balance. It's about having a great organization that has an equal balance. It can't be one way or the other. Like you said, you added more people on your team just to bring that in. I completely agree with you. I don't think either or can function. I do think that, we require more women in general in the workforce. Some of the things that we've talked about, even the networking aspect of it, I actually aggressively network. And I, do the whole drinks route and everything. But I know I'm one of the few women there, and it would be really nice to see more women doing that and not feeling like, oh God. But I also realize, like, I have a little child at home, so we've got the juggling to do. In terms of a slowdown, I think men, there are, just like you said, the choices are harder for some people because it is their first job. It is the primary job that is in the house. But I think that is a great advantage, a disadvantage as well, because women, a lot of them, like I've had people leave, our attrition rate on for some of our women, the people who join customer support, the women have left because they just could. It wasn't a priority, which shouldn't be the case. I mean, for me, I just want to work because I want to work. It's something I thrive on. It just comes. So I think we tend to make it a choice, and it has nothing to do with a slowdown or anything,
Right, the choice is one thing, but if you create the opportunities, then obviously that choice becomes much easier. You probably don't have to take that choice. And right now we're seeing a lot of people in the mid-management and grassroots levels, but no one really stays on and is retained to actually reach the absolute top.
No, I was just going to add on. Sorry, I was just going to. Again, historically, I'm just going back to the brain because we are different. It's no use saying we're equal because our brains actually are developed differently, and through thousands of years, the circuitry has been wired differently. And I think men faced more historically. They faced the danger of as they went out to hunt and gather. They faced dangers a lot more, and so their amygdala hijacks a lot quicker where they actually have a fight or a flight response, whereas women haven't. So we're sort of still navigating that space, and therefore I think we handle the stressful situations a little better. I would agree with you. That's just a function of us not having amygdala hijacks all the time. We don't fight or flee. We just sort of we nurture and we befriend almost the problem, and then we try to work out how to navigate around it. So again, a function of emotional intelligence. So
yeah, and just to add to that, I think apart from the brain, you're looking at it physically too. I think definitely our structures are also, the DNA composition is definitely different. So I think when you look at changing jobs, maybe women stay on a job for a longer period, whereas men probably can even leave their family behind and go overseas and take up an assignment. They can live with it to the extent that, yes, they're more adventurous. Not that women aren't, but if you look at it more from the physical front, it is but natural that the bonding with the children is more when the women are around because of all these qualities. So the male can probably break up for some time and do this kind of assignments. So we have to also look at those physical compositions. And I think we have to accept that when we look at equality, we don't need to always be equal in everything because nothing is same. We say every human being is unique. So why are we talking about genders? When we're talking about women itself, we are all unique in our own respect. So I think the fact of the matter is that how do we make our own selves unique and take on what suits us rather than really trying to bring in that balance? So I look at it that way. Just